let's go across to Watford, where some pretty big name players with a lot, and I mean a lot, of Premier League experience have departed this week. It's obviously wage bill cutting. We've talked forever and a day about the cliff edges between the Premier League and the Championship, between the Championship parachute teams and the rest of the Championship, etc., etc. On and on I go. Watford are in this situation where they have highly paid, highly experienced players on their roster. They've waited until deadline day 1 to go. Nothing has been done with a few of these players, and out go 3 of them in different ways. So Danny Welbeck has just been released from his contract, and they were eye-watering sums, if you believe what was written in the press, that he was receiving in salary. So this is clearly a case of, can we get a fee for this guy? No, nobody came in. Can we get him out on loan? No, nobody came in. Let's take the hit. I don't know whether he's been paid off in some way, shape or form. I assume he would have. But this is a guy, look at the history, just Premier League. You can see 8 games at Preston on loan in the Championship. But otherwise, this is very, very much a player that's played his entire career in the Premier League and an international as well. So it'd be interesting to see where he pipes up. Would it be in the Championship? Will he be another one of these Championship white elephant players that ends up going to Turkey because they're the only ones that can afford to take on the contracts and the wages? Premier League, Championship, Europe, who knows? You would think a player of that calibre, of 200 plus Premier League appearances, Manchester United, Arsenal on the CV, wouldn't be short of offers, but we'll see. Depends how much he expects to be paid and who's going to stump up the money. So, it'd be interesting to see where Danny Welbeck goes. And will we see him in the Championship? Or has he got another Premier League move and deal left in him? How good's his agent? Craig Dawson is another player who's played a lot of games at the top level. He'd been at West Brom. We'd had him in the Championship and there was a sense, good Championship operator. In the end, they didn't go up and Dawson went out to Watford, I think possibly for a decent fee as well, possibly sort of 5 million quid. He's been there a year basically, 31 appearances, 2 goals. He's gone to West Ham on loan, and West Ham, I think I saw the figures actually, West Ham are just the number 1 destination now for Championship players going up to the Premier League. I think they've taken the most from the figures I saw the other day. Obviously linked with Saeed Benrahma, who's a Championship star, took Jared Bowen, who's a Championship star as well. And, we can name people like Ryan Fredericks, Jordan Hugel. That's where they shop. And you can see there's a lot of evidence that tell us that since the 2011-12 season, Craig Dawson is almost exclusively a Premier League footballer, a loan down to Bolton, and that one season there with West Brom in the Championship. But the evidence tells us he can do you a job at the top level. And up he goes again. The proof is in the pudding. And he's proved it. Proved. That is even a baking term, isn't it, from my watching of the Bake Off? Anyway, Daryl Janmaat also out. So we are cutting wages like anything. What's the deal here? Reached agreement with Daniel Janmaat to leave on a free transfer. So again, cutting the losses where they can. Don't know what sort of deal they would have done with West Ham, whether they could have got a loan fee there. But Janmaat comes in the Welbeck category of, well, if the best deal is to pay him off and get that liability off the balance sheet, then so be it. And that appears to be what they have done here. Plenty of appearances as well and decent calibre. Look at that, right through from 2014. Just those 2 appearances in the Championship, and it's been Premier League all the way. So does anybody take him? Does he go back out to Europe? If I'm a middling Premier League club and I'm looking at Danny Welbeck and Daryl Janmaat, are they people I can add on a deal that's prudent? who knows? Are they still Premier League players? The evidence says yes, but let's see. I mean, only 8 appearances in the Premier League last year, only 26 across the last 2 seasons. So we'll see. Again, though, I'd wonder whether either of these players, particularly Welbeck and Janmaat, appears in the Championship, because they're probably going to be able to get paid better elsewhere, either in the Premier League or one of the lower ranking top divisions in Europe. So, plenty of movement again out of Watford. They've been great fun on these Championship transfer update videos, haven't they? And another relegated Premier League team moving on, presumably a highly paid, expensive, highly tenured player there. Timm Klose out of Norwich. Yes, I don't understand the rules. I thought you couldn't deal with. Maybe it's just Premier League teams to European teams couldn't deal anymore. But Timm Klose has gone to FC Basel on a season-long loan, and they have the option of making it permanent. Klose, 32 years old, returns to the 20 times Swiss Super League champions. 128 appearances for Norwich there. You can see arriving from Wolfsburg, but in the main, and I guess this is the story for Norwich, and injured a lot Klose, hasn't he? Only 17 Premier League appearances there to pretty much 100 Championship appearances. So that says a lot about where Norwich have been in Klose's time there, 2 seasons in the Premier League. But in the main, he's played Championship football. And I guess this is the last hurrah of the pre-Stuart Webber era, when Norwich fans used to argue with me, we've built our squad for no money, Ben. And to a vast extent, that was true. But I would flag up, who's that guy on the bench there? Didn't he cost about 8-10 million euros or something? This is the last hold of those players that had arrived for big money prior to Stuart Webber that were on the books. Obviously, he wasn't a bust like some of these Naismith, Van Wolfswinkel, Wildschut, like some of these players were. I think he was very well liked by the Norwich fans and did a far better job there. But it does feel like the last of a relic, a pre-Stuart Webber relic at Norwich. And obviously the transfer dealings have been very much different and very much more successful since then. And we won't mention a certain goal he scored against Ipswich, will he? So out goes Timm Klose, unlikely to be seen again. At Norwich, again, look at the theme. Expensive players who played in the Premier League, who have been relegated. Down they come. Here's another. It's Bruno Martins Indy, who Michael O'Neill seemed to be saying, well, if he's here and we can't get him off the wage bill, I'll use him. He had played for Stoke, but he's gone out. 28-year-old defender to AZ Alkmaar. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying, can these players get paid? Not at... We'd look at the, I don't know, the Spanish, the Premier League, maybe the Italian league, the German league as the top leagues. But they can go and earn good money in Holland, in Turkey, in Russia, in Poland, places like that, Portugal, if they can't get the gig here or at one of those top leagues. So Martins Indy goes out, and again, it will just be cutting that wage bill for Stoke that seems to have been an issue that's now lasted their entirety of the 2 seasons they've been down in the Championship and continues to rumble on. Out goes Bruno Martins Indy. If you enjoyed this clip, why not go and check out the whole video? You can find that and all of my other content at my channel, the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. And while you're there, why not hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for regular notifications?